Good evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Shan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. India and New Zealand signed 3 agreements, including one on avoiding double taxation. Visiting Prime Minister John Key assures support on securing membership to the Nuclear Suppliers Group. Sackings continue in Samajwadi Party. Party Chief Shivpal Yadav expels junior minister for 6 years. Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav meets Governor Ram Nayak to brief him about the political situation. Special CBI court acquits Karnataka BJP State President B.S. Yedurappa in the Bellary mines corruption case. The former Karnataka Chief Minister claims the verdict vindicates his position. And no uniform civil court through the back door or without consensus, says Information and Broadcasting Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu. Rejects charge that the BJP is raking up contentious issues to polarize voters. Our top story this evening, India and New Zealand move towards closer understanding on the issue of India's membership to the Nuclear Suppliers Group and combating terrorism. Both countries also made headway on economic cooperation and free trade agreement. Bilateral talks between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and New Zealand Prime Minister John Key today also resulted in addressing defence-related concerns of both countries in the Asia-Pacific region.
India's entry into the Nuclear Suppliers Group featured prominently in the talks between the two prime ministers. In the last NSG plenary in Seoul, New Zealand expressed reservations on India's non-NPT status. But after a positive meeting with Modi, the New Zealand Premier said it will constructively engage on India's membership and also work to secure support from other member countries.
We are thankful for New Zealand's support to India joining a reform UN Security Council as a permanent member. As we make our own contribution to the development efforts of the Pacific Island countries, we will continue to consult closely with New Zealand and to complement and supplement each other's effort. I am also thankful to Prime Minister Key for New Zealand's constructive approach to the consideration of India's membership of the Nuclear Supply Group.
We had a detailed conversation about India's application to become a member of the Nuclear Suppliers Group. I acknowledged the importance to India of it joining the NSG. I also stated that New Zealand would continue to contribute constructively to the process currently underway in the NSG to consider India's membership. New Zealand is committed to working with the NSG members to reach a decision, and as soon as possible.
Terrorism and cross-border terror also figured in the talks. Both countries agreed to cooperate on sharing intelligence and cybersecurity to stop radicalization of youth.
Terrorism remains one of the greatest challenges to global peace and security. Today, the financial, logistical, and information networks of terror span the entire globe. The barriers of geography do not safeguard against the threat of radicalization and terrorism. Nations who believe in humanity need to coordinate their actions and policies to counter this threat.
In trade and business, 3 MOUs were signed to avoid double taxation and ensure safety and standard arrangements in food processing. Another document dealt with increasing cooperation in youth exchange and sports activities. New Zealand supports India's candidature as a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. But to create convergence on other issues of cooperation, consultations between foreign ministers and senior officials will be increased.
Both the Prime Minister have agreed to address the interest of each other's countries. It will be interesting to see how quickly it takes place. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television with camera person Sanjay Kumar in Delhi.
Now, sackings continued in the Samajwadi Party as State Unit President Shivpal Yadav dismissed a junior minister from the party for 6 years. He also wrote to Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav to drop him from the cabinet as well. Akhilesh Yadav, on the other hand, met Uttar Pradesh Governor Ram Nayak to brief him about the situation within the party and his government.
Amid the unfolding family drama within the Samajwadi Party, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav on Wednesday met Governor Ram Nayak. While the meeting triggered much speculation in political circles, party leaders claimed there was no dispute.
नेताजी ने कल कह ही दिया कोई विवाद नहीं है, परिवार में कोई विवाद नहीं है, पार्टी में कोई विवाद नहीं है, सब एक हैं.
Raj Bhavan sources said Akhilesh briefed the governor on the prevailing political situation in the state. There was also talks that the chief minister's visit might have been in connection with the 4 vacancies in the cabinet. These were caused on Sunday when Akhilesh sacked his uncle Shivpal Yadav, Om Prakash Singh, Narad Rai and Saida Shadab Fatima from the government. On Wednesday, Samajwadi Party chief Shivpal Yadav expelled Tej Narayan Pandey, a junior minister from the party.
जो भी अनुशासनहीनता करेगा, गुंडाही करेगा, नंबर 2 के काम करेगा, कब्जा करेंगे, ऐसे लोग समाजवादी पार्टी में नहीं रह सकते.
Pandey, however, claimed that the charges against him were baseless.
यासुक मलिक ने झूठे और निराधार आरोप लगाए. उनकी बात एकदम झूठी और निराधार है. माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी के आवास पर कहीं कोई मारपीट, कोई बवाल नहीं हुआ किसी तरह का, और माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी के सुरक्षा अधिकारी ने इसका बयान भी दिया कि मुख्यमंत्री आवास पर कहीं कोई इस तरह की घटना नहीं हुई.
Other political parties said the situation called for the imposition of president's rule in the state.
अब ये वार जो चल रहा है वो थमने वाला नहीं. ऐसी स्थिति में उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार को भंग कर देना चाहिए. सारा कुछ काम ठप पड़ा हुआ है. विकास का काम पूरी तरह से ठप हो गया. जो पार्टी अभी तक नंबर 1 थी, अब वो 3 में रह गई.
ये गेनर कौन होगा ये तो पता नहीं, कि लूजर जरूर उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता है. नुकसान सबसे ज्यादा उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता को इन 5 वर्षों में हुआ है. उत्तर प्रदेश के लोगों ने जो जनादेश दिया था, विकास के लिए दिया था, जनादेश दिया था, गुंडा राज खत्म करने के लिए, अराजकता के लिए दिया था, लेकिन पूरे 5 सालों में अराजक तत्वों ने उत्तर प्रदेश की सरकार को हाईजैक कर रखा था.
Speculation about the chief minister's meeting with the governor centered around whether the Raj Bhavan had sought a list of MLAs to ensure that the government still enjoyed a majority in the assembly. But sources denied this, stating that the governor had neither sought such a list nor was any document handed over to him. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And a big relief for the BJP. Its top leader in Karnataka, B.S. Yediyurappa, has been acquitted in a corruption case related to illegal mining in Bellary. Yediyurappa and the other accused, including his sons and son-in-law, were acquitted for lack of evidence against them. The BJP hopes that the verdict will help it mobilize its workers in the state before the assembly elections are held.
BJP's top leader in Karnataka, B.S. Yediyurappa, has been acquitted in the corruption case that cost him the chief ministership in 2011. He was accused of accepting kickbacks worth 40 crore rupees to allow illegal mining in the state. The acquittal has come as big relief to the BJP.
Order by the Honorable CBI Court comes to me as a relief. I am happy that the false allegations and politically motivated charges made against me have been dismissed. I always have faith in judiciary and I have not done any mistake. So today I got the relief and I hope the order will be bringing new inspiration to lakhs of our workers to work hard to come back to power in future.
CBI Special Court judge acquitted all accused, including Yediyurappa's 2 sons, B.Y. Raghavendra and B.Y. Vijayendra, and also R.N. Sohan Kumar, BSY's son-in-law.
That the prosecution has become unsuccessful in establishing the guilt of the accused, not only for offences which are made penal under the provisions of the Prevention of Corruption Act, but also under the provisions of the Indian Penal Code. By saying so, the learned judge has ordered the acquittal of all the accused persons in the case, while ordering that their bail bonds shall stand cancelled.
The BJP hopes the verdict will help it consolidate votes when the state goes to polls in 2 years. However, the Congress party, which currently rules the state, was dismissive of gains the BJP might get out of the verdict.
The people have to decide. ಮುಂದೆ ಯಾರು ಚೀಫ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಜನ ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಇನ್ ಆಲ್ ದಿ ಕ್ರಿಮಿನಲ್ ಕೇಸಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ವಾಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಅಕ್ವಿಟ್ ಆಗ್ತವೆ. ಇಟ್ ಡಸಂಟ್ ಮೀನ್ ದಟ್ ಅದು ಅಲಿಗೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಸ್ಲೆಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ.
Yediyurappa is a prominent leader of the powerful Lingayat community and has a mass following in the state. He had resigned in 2011 after Karnataka's Lokayukta Santosh Hegde indicted him for colluding in illegal iron ore mining in the mineral-rich district of Bellary. The former chief minister was even jailed for 3 weeks in 2011 in connection with the case before being given bail. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Information and Broadcasting Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu today said that the Uniform Civil Code will not be brought through the back door or without a broad consensus. Naidu also rejected the charge that the BJP was bringing up contentious issues to polarize elections, especially in Uttar Pradesh. He said issues like Triple Talaq, Civil Code and Ram Temple will not be used for political mileage in the elections, but will be fought on the development agenda. Naidu said crucial issues should not be used for electoral benefit, rejecting opposition criticism that the surgical strikes were being politicized.
Let the BSP, SP and the Congress come clean because they're all partners of the UPA. What is their stand on abolition of Triple Talaq? Triple Talaq is not a communal issue, not a religious issue. It's an issue of gender justice. It's an issue of ending gender discrimination. It's an issue of equality before law, which are guaranteed by Article 14 and Article 15 of the Constitution. I said it earlier in Hyderabad, I am repeating it again for sake of those people who are not able to understand it. And unnecessarily bringing in Pradhan Mantri ko बारे में आलोचना करना, राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ का नाम लाना, ये क्या तरीका है? आप बताओ ना, आपका स्टैंड क्या है? आप महिलाओं के साथ न्याय करना चाहते हैं, अन्याय करना चाहते हैं?
Multiple ceasefire violations were reported along the international border and the line of control that have left a BSF Jawan and 11 civilians injured in Jammu and Kashmir. Meanwhile, the state administration and centre issued an advisory to evacuate villagers from the villages that are adjacent to the international border.
Repeated ceasefire violations by Pakistan left a BSF Jawan and 11 civilians injured in the Arispura sector of Jammu and Kashmir. Heavy exchange of gunfire is underway between the BSF and Pakistani Rangers.
6 सदस्य जो एक ही परिवार के ये ऑन स्पॉट ही जख्मी हो गए थे और एक परिवार का एक आदमी उसके 1 घंटे बाद वो जख्मी हो गया था। तो ये मैं समझता हूँ कि ये पूरी पंचायत में तकरीबन 11 जो सदस्य हैं ये इंजर हुए हैं।
पाकिस्तान बुखलाया हुआ है और जो दुनिया में उसका जो है खिल्ली उड़ी है उसको जो उसकी भरपाई के लिए वो कोशिश कर रहा है कि किस तरीके से ये दुनिया को ये मैसेज दे पे नहीं हम भी हैं अभी हैं, लेकिन जिस तरीके से वो कर रहे हैं उससे दुगनी ताकत से जो है हमारी तरफ से उनको जवाब मिल रहा है, उनको भी बहुत नुकसान हो रहा है।
Pakistani posts also targeted civilian areas in Saikalan, Burejal, Trewa and Arnia. In the light of the situation, the Kashmir government issued an advisory to shut down all educational institutions near the international border. Security forces are helping villagers to migrate to safer locations.
अभी कुछ दिन पहले से जो है बॉर्डर और एलओसी में टेंशन काफ़ी ज़्यादा चल रही है। जहाँ जहाँ कुछ विलेजेस हैं वहाँ पर डिप्टी कमिश्नर साहब ने जो है स्कूल्स जो हैं वो बंद करने के भी आदेश दिए गए हैं। बल्कि अगर वहाँ पर देखते हैं कि इंटेंसिटी फायर की कितनी है, अकॉर्डिंगली अगर हमें ज़रूरत पड़ती है तो हम वहाँ से इनको इवैक्यूएट करके तो यहाँ पर जो सेफ कैंप एरियाज़ हैं वो हमने आइडेंटिफाई किए, वहाँ पर उनको हम बिठाएंगे।
कि हमारी सेनाएं और अर्ध सेना दल हर प्रकार से सक्षम है हर प्रकार की चुनौती का सामना करने के लिए और कर भी रहे हैं। बड़ी बखूबी तौर पर वो उचित कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं और सबसे बड़ी संतोषजनक बात यह है कि सीमाओं पर रहने वाले हमारे लोगों का और देशवासियों का मनोबल बड़े ऊंचे स्तर का है।
Meanwhile, the central government said that Pakistan now stood exposed after terror group Lashkar-e-Taiba claimed responsibility for the Uri terror attack. Union Minister Rajyavardhan Singh Rathod said the claim assumes significance in the face of the Pakistani government's constant denial.
हिंदुस्तान हमेशा जब भी अपना केस दुनिया के सामने रखता है तो पूरे के पूरे एविडेंस के साथ, प्रूफ के साथ रखता है, और हिंदुस्तान का जो विश्वास है दुनिया में वो बहुत ऊंचा है। बाकी लोग उसको मना करते रहे, उससे हिंदुस्तान के केस कमज़ोर नहीं होता।
In the Kashmir Valley, a delegation led by senior BJP leader Yashwant Sinha continued its meeting with stakeholders to end the 4-month-long impasse. Sinha met traders at the Kashmir Chamber of Commerce and Industry on Wednesday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, India has condemned the attack in Pakistan's Quetta that killed 61 people. While condemning the attack, Union Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu also said that he hoped that Pakistan was now sorry for encouraging terrorism. Naidu also said that India was keen on having good relations with all its neighbours, including Pakistan.
Union Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu has said that it's high time Pakistan realized that using terrorism as a state policy is suicidal. He said this while strongly condemning the attack on a police academy in Quetta, in which 61 people were killed.
That using terrorism as a state policy is suicidal. It is like a Bhasmasura hasta. If you give such an opportunity to Bhasmasura, at the end of it, it will also take on you.
Naidu criticized the Pakistani leadership, saying that in spite of several goodwill gestures and initiatives from India, the country had been adopting double standards.
We express our condolences for the people who lost their lives. Pakistan has not only made terrorism as a state policy, but has been aiding, abetting, funding terrorism in India.
The US also condemned the attack in Quetta while also defending India's surgical strikes against militant launch pads in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir last month.
We condemned the attack and when it happened, and obviously India took the move it did to defend itself. We also condemn very strongly the attacks that occurred in Pakistan over the last 24 hours. It's very, very sad.
Many soldiers have died. Many civilians have died. This isn't some theoretical exercise for the Pakistani people. It's right there, not in their backyard, in their front yard, and so we remain committed, to supporting the government of Pakistan in its efforts to end the scourge of terrorism and violent extremism and to promote peace and stability. And it is a regional issue. So the shortest way to answer your question is we're going to continue to work with regional countries, regional partners, to deal with this, because it is a common threat to everybody. And it requires common, comprehensive, collaborative solutions, and that's what we're going to continue to seek.
Tensions between India and Pakistan have flared up since Indian Special Forces carried out a surgical strike against militants camping in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Although Pakistan denied such a strike had taken place, it vowed to retaliate against any Indian aggression. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to news from Tamil Nadu, where ruling AIADMK on Wednesday said that party supremo and Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J. Jayalalitha is well and will return home soon. Jayalalitha was hospitalized for fever and dehydration in September. She was later treated for infection with respiratory support. AIADMK spokesperson C.R. Saraswati said prayers of party supporters have helped Jaya's recovery and also thanked medical experts from AIIMS in Singapore who treated her. Meanwhile, AIADMK supporters continue to organize special prayers and events for her well-being. This included a 6-hour musical prayer in Tirunelveli and candle prayers in various other places. Time for us to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Is this Udan scheme supposed to be the real game changer in the aviation sector?
We would like to convert a wish list into a work list.
Is it going to be really a burden on the airline operator as well as the consumer?
Ultimately, the consumer foots the bill.
Aam Aadmi in the Hawai Chappals is probably going to board the Hawai Jahaz.
Welcome. Why should any Indian citizen be denied?
Watch To The Point with Minister for Civil Aviation Ashok Gajapati Raju only on Rajya Sabha television.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Some international news now, and France continued dismantling of the Calais migrant camps as the government drive to clear the area into the third day. Nearly 4,000 migrants have been moved out to reception centres across the country. The demolition drive is likely to last for a week.
Migrants in the Calais camp woke up to rising smoke and charred remains of tents as the French government continued its operation to empty and clear the camps, also known as the jungle. Authorities began the demolition drive on Tuesday, dismantling the camp manually. No bulldozers have been used yet, but as thousands leave, the process is beginning to pick up. Over 4,000 migrants have been registered by the French authorities since Monday, with the majority of them being sent to reception centres across France.
Aujourd'hui, c'est la phase où nous entrons sur le terrain, où on commence à enlever tous les déchets. Vous savez, 4000 personnes qui sont parties, ça laisse des déchets derrière eux. Donc c'est normal qu'on nettoie, qu'on enlève des déchets. Puis ça aide aussi ceux qui sont encore hésitants.
Some 9,000 migrants had been living in the camp in Calais, many with hopes of making their way into Britain for a better life. After being so close to their ambition, many migrants have vowed to stay on despite threats of being detained by authorities.
No finish jungle. I am no go to tomorrow the bus. All people no go to the bus. Here is the all people are sleeping in the jungle. Go to the UK.
While the demolition is underway, unaccompanied minors have been put in converted shipping containers inside the camp. Being witness to such scenes of destruction has raised concerns about the impact it may have on these children.
Know if all the children have gone through, so whether they'll be in this space, and this space is in the middle of the jungle, so what they're proposing is that this demolition will happen all around them, which I imagine would be quite terrifying for children.
The dismantling of the jungle is expected to take about a week, with more than 1,200 police personnel present during the whole process. Police say only about 200 people are expected to be in the camp by then. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, Islamic State fighters are putting up a fierce fight on the southern side as it approaches the Mosul, holding up Iraqi troops and forcing an elite army unit east of the city to put its more rapid advance on hold. However, the front lines in the other areas have moved much closer to the edges of Mosul, which is the last major Iraqi city under the control of the terrorists. The elite army unit, which moved in from the east, had to pause its advance, waiting for the other attacking forces to close the gap. The fight is only likely to get more intense as at least 1.5 million residents still remain in the city. Meanwhile, Islamic State is reportedly also sending suicide squads from Syria to Mosul. Civilians in the area talk of hundreds of new arrivals streaming into Mosul from Raqqa in Syria. These new fighters have been seen rigging bridges across the strategic Tigris River with explosives and have prepared dozens of vehicle-borne suicide bombs. Some more international news now in Global Buzz. 30 people were kidnapped and killed by terrorists linked to the Islamic State in Afghanistan's Ghor province. The incident took place yesterday north of the provincial capital, Firozkoh. The government called it a revenge attack after a local IS commander was killed. Meanwhile, there's been no official claim of responsibility from the group. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte today said that he wanted foreign military troops out of his country probably in the next 2 years. Duterte, who's on a 3-day visit to Japan, made the remarks before his meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Mentioning the US colonial control of Philippines over half a century, Duterte said he would pursue an independent foreign policy and said that the Philippines will survive without US assistance. India today ranked lower at 87th place globally in terms of gender equality despite a jump of 21 places from last year, largely due to progress on the education front, while Iceland has topped the charts. India was ranked 108th on the annual Global Gender Gap Index compiled by Geneva-based World Economic Forum. India has closed its gender gap by 2% in a year, and its gap now stands at 68% across the 4 pillars that the WEF measures: economy, education, health and political representation. News from the world of cricket now, and India have been set a target of 261 for victory by New Zealand at the 4th one-dayer at Ranchi. Choosing to bat first, New Zealand got off to a flying start with the opening pair of Martin Guptill and Tom Latham adding 96 runs for the first wicket. Guptill completed his half-century before being caught behind off Hardik Pandya. The visitors were looking for a 300-plus total, but once again the fall of wickets regularly reduced them to a much lower total. Indian bowlers put up a tight performance in the final overs to contain New Zealand to 260 for 7 in their 50 overs. Mishra picked up 2 wickets for the hosts. India presently in their run chase are 50 for 1 with the loss of Rohit Sharma's wicket.
Oh, it's gone through. That's going to be 4.
Some more sports action now in Sports Beat. Indian tennis stars Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis will reunite to defend their WTA finals title in Singapore this week. The Indo-Swiss pair, who won 3 Grand Slam titles and 11 WTA titles since teaming up in 2015 at Indian Wells, had parted ways in August this year. Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis are seeded second for the tournament. Rikardas Bonakis of Lithuania upset world number 2 Milas Raonic in the first round of the Swiss Indoor at Basel. The 26-year-old qualifier came back from a set down to defeat the Canadian 3-6, 6-3, 6-3. Top seed Stan Wawrinka, however, reached through to the second round, beating Swiss compatriot Marco. Brazilian footballer Carlos Alberto Torres, who captained the 1970 World Cup winning team, died on Tuesday of a heart attack in Rio de Janeiro. He was 72. Torres played alongside Pelé at Santos from 1966 to 74 and at the New York Cosmos from 77 to 80 after beginning his career with Fluminense. That's all from us. Goodbye.